Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here for today's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you're working on and work alongside while I chat. Or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today, I'm going to be working on my blue swallowtail and pansies for our August diamond paint along with the theme of flowers. Let me zoom in to where I'm going to be working and I will be right back. Okay, let me just say it's really good to be back at home, although it still feels kind of weird to call Canada home. So let me just jump straight into my life update. So as many of you know, I just got back from a visit to Kansas, where my family is from, where I'm from. Was an interesting trip, but I got to see my family, so I had a good time. It was really nice to see everybody. We talk on the phone, we text, we video call, just not the same as being able to hug them. So I got to spend time with my daughter and my sister, so that was good. We went shopping in Bangor and picked up a bunch of stuff we can't get locally here. So we got our blackberry Dr. Pepper, the zero sugar version, which is amazing. I'm super hopeful eventually it will appear in Canada if it does well enough in the States, but we'll see. Got my zero sugar sweet tea. I bought some Swerve, which is artificial sweetener that my husband likes. I can use it to bake with and everything, so I can make cookies that he can actually eat that don't cause a lot of problems with his blood sugar. The amount of stuff that you can bring back, the longer you're out of Canada, the larger the dollar amount of things that you can bring back in without having to pay the duties on them. So that was nice because we were gone for like a week and a half. We didn't have to really pay duties on anything that we brought back. We didn't end up buying nearly as much as we thought we would, which is okay. Lord knows we spent enough on hotels and everything else, so there were some disappointing things on the trip. I wish we could have stayed a little bit longer so that we could see everybody. I didn't really get a chance to talk to my brother, but we went out to dinner, but we didn't really have a chance to chat. We went to one of the days we were there. I told my husband the hotel we were staying at had a Panera like right across the street, and I told my husband, "Oh my gosh, I haven't had a cinnamon crunch bagel from them in so long. Would you go get me one for breakfast?" Because my husband always has to get up and eat breakfast. And so he went and got me a cinnamon crunch bagel. Oh my gosh, you guys. The last time I remember having one, I was still working full time, and our boss used to go get them and bring them in for the office. I swear the bagels have shrunk by at least 50% in size. It was crazy how tiny it was, and it probably cost more. I enjoyed it. It still tasted good, but it was stupid small. It was interesting driving. I think I mentioned hubby put new tires on his car before we left, but they're slightly bigger than the original manufacturer's tires. So the speedometer was off, which made it interesting trying to drive. On the way there, we drove through New York because that's the way that we had usually gone. But New York has tolls every 5 minutes, it seems like. And they don't let you, I think in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, they actually had manned toll booths. So, like, we would have to stop and pay cash to get through. But in New York and New Jersey, it's all just the transit authority or the thruway authority or something like that, and it's all just cameras. There aren't even any toll booths at all. So if you don't have their Easy Pass or Turnpike Pass or whatever it's called, then your only other option is to have them bill you. So for instance, when we came up and went to Maine because we were thinking about buying a house in Maine, they just take a picture of your license plate and then they get the records from the DMV and they bill you. And when we were moving here, obviously we still had US plates before we got here, so we got bills for them for that. But because we now have Canadian plates, I was like, how do they bill us? So I got online and I was looking, and there were people who said that Ontario? I think Ontario and Quebec have agreements with the US, so they share their license plate information so that the New York authority can bill people who are in Canada. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just get a bill. But then people were saying it's really frustrating because if you have a Canadian bank account, obviously money has to be exchanged, Canadian dollars for US dollars, whatever. So it's really hard to pay if you don't have a US account. But it said that it didn't think anybody besides Ontario and Quebec had agreements with the US. And so I was like, well, then if they don't know what our license plate is, how they get our phone, our address or whatever to bill us. So I guess I just wait to see if they send us a bill. And then I guess if we don't get one, I'll get online and try and figure out what I'm supposed to do. I mean, there were a lot of people who were like, they won't find you, just don't worry about it. I'm like, well, we did actually use the roads. I don't want to just be like, I'm from Canada, so I don't have to pay it. But it's super annoying that they don't have an option of like stopping at a toll booth to pay or whatever. I mean, I get that they don't want to pay people, but for somebody like us who, we're going to travel through there once in a blue moon, then having some other sort of option seems prudent. Although I would assume they know that Canadians who don't live in those provinces could possibly drive through. So I guess if they aren't worried about it, maybe I shouldn't be either. Just crazy things like that that don't seem to make any sense on the face of them. So on the way home, we decided instead of driving through New York and dealing with all of these tolls, because it was something like, I think when my husband was searching for different routes, it was something like it was going to be $25 or more cheaper to go through Pennsylvania and Connecticut on our way back. I think we actually still went through New York for a little piece of it, but we did go through Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was a lot like New York. Does this ever end? Because felt like it was a whole day of driving through Pennsylvania, and then suddenly it was like, oh, here's 3 states, boom, boom, boom. Now we're back in Maine. Just crazy. I want to do some more traveling in Canada too, so we can go see some stuff. Hubby and I are going to try and figure that out. I really wanted to go by Niagara Falls. We ended up not doing that. Everyone tells me the Canadian side is better, so I told my husband at some point we're going to take a trip to Niagara Falls from here and see what it's like. We've gotten most of the bills paid from the trip. Of course, it's so hard when you're on a trip. I'm the kind of person that I keep all my receipts. I try to enter everything on a regular basis so I know where our bank account is sitting. In so many places when you stop, I know we stopped at a couple of restaurants and they want you to pay at the table, but the little thing at the table doesn't give you a receipt. We would stop for gas and the gas pump wouldn't give you a receipt and all that kind of stuff. So I got all that done. I got all of our receipts entered. I paid off the credit card for all the hotels that we stayed at. So I'm feeling pretty good about all that. I spent like a day while I was catching up with all the laundry, doing all the bills and everything too. So I'm feeling good about that. Somebody asked or I think somebody made a comment that we were crazy for driving. We talked about flying, but flying is expensive, especially if you're talking about an international flight where you cross the border and crossing the border from the air, because then you have to get off the plane, go through customs, all this stuff, and it's like, it just takes forever and it's crowded. And I like to fly. I do not like airports. Planes are usually crowded, people are unhappy. Which is kind of funny if you think about it. You think people would be happy to be on airplanes because they're going someplace nice. I guess that's not always the case, but I assume people are going on like vacation or something so they'd be in a good mood, but there's always somebody that's grumpy or got bumped from a flight or showed up drunk or goodness knows. Anyway, I like to fly. I don't like all the people. I don't like the airports, and some of the airports we have to go through are gross. Any place that there's a bunch of people is just hard to keep nice. Anyway, it was going to be, I mean, our hotels basically cost the price of one plane ticket. Plus, we wanted to be able to take our time if we wanted to. Like I said, the intention was that we were going to take our time on the way back, which we did. We took an extra day to get back. Driving there, we just kind of went straight through, drove as much as we could till we got tired, stopped, slept, got up, drove until we got there. Once we got there, we were in town for 4 days visiting with everybody. So we had time to kind of settle a bit. We weren't having to pack up every single night. We were spending time with family. So then on the way back, we just didn't push ourselves as hard while we were driving. I wanted to stop, but hubby was ready to be home. So since he did most of the driving, I was like, okay, fine. But it was a good trip. We were able to stop when we wanted to. We weren't rushing to try and make a connection from one gate to another because a flight got changed or delayed or any of that. So we ended up taking a different route home than usual, too. That was another reason it took us a little bit longer because we've had wildfires spring up in our province, something which I've been told is super unusual. So I told my husband I can't believe I moved all the way to the East Coast and now I would have thought if I was going to be near wildfires, it would be in Kansas, not here. Last I heard, they were still burning. They haven't really destroyed any buildings or property that I'm aware of yet. But if they don't get control of them soon, that's probably coming. I know my husband told me yesterday there was a city that got told to evacuate with like 5 minutes notice. And I was like, should I be like putting together some kind of a kit for us? So if we get something like that, we just, everything's together and we grab and go. I mean, I sort of have something like that for like a residential home fire if we had one of those. But like if we had to evacuate and we needed, yeah, I just feel like I would need to gather just in case. Do you know what I mean? I guess my just in case would probably should probably be the same either way, but also made me think I should do a walkthrough with my video camera and get what all the stuff is in our house so if we needed to file an insurance claim. Anyway, so we ended up taking a different route home. But like I said, I'm glad to be back, glad to be in my own bed, glad to be back on my own couch, and of course, glad to be back where I have access to all my diamond painting stuff. I tried to take enough stuff with me that I wouldn't feel like I was missing anything while I was on the road, and I tried to film ahead so that I wasn't necessarily having to film on the road, but trying to do anything in a hotel room versus your own home is always a challenge. Although they do generally make sure that the desks are by windows, so I guess that helps for lighting. And then I guess this week we're going to be busy. We got back and told my husband's family we were back, and his mom said, oh, well, I haven't seen you guys. We were gone for a week and a half. So she wants us to come up for dinner tonight. So we're doing that. And then her birthday is next week. So we're doing her birthday dinner. And I've been told I need to bring dessert. So I'm trying to figure out, I know what dessert I'm going to take for, I have to make a dessert that is, well, I guess I don't have to. I could make one that's sugar-free for everybody, but I want to make one that my son and I really like called Death by Chocolate. It is definitely got a lot of sugar in it. So my husband's diabetic. One of my brothers-in-law is diabetic, and my sister-in-law tries to watch her sugar intake. So I want to make something that doesn't have a lot of sugar. That's why I bought the Swerve. I was going to make cookies or something with the Swerve so that they could eat that without having to worry about all the sugar. So I got to figure that out before Wednesday. And then sometime next weekend, my sister-in-law's daughter, who lives in BC, is visiting. She has been traveling all around while she's off for summer vacation. She's a teacher. They've been in Thailand, they were in Japan, and I think this last trip they were in England, London somewhere, something like that. But they are, I guess, renting a cottage up here. So we've all been invited up for dinner sometime next weekend. In the meantime, I've got diamond paintings to be working on and other things I want to get done. So I'll be doing all of that. I did finally finish up all of our laundry, so that was nice. You guys have been talking all this time and I forgot to start my timer. Ugh, so annoying. Anyway, okay, so I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you for my life update. So what do I want to tell you for my diamond painting update? Well, if you follow the channel, and hopefully you do, if you don't, hit that little subscribe button. Yesterday's video was the finish of Blue Girl. I actually just kind of sat down for a couple of days and didn't diamond paint anything but that. I managed to get that finished. So I'm super happy about that. The red lines turned out to be not nearly as big of a deal as I thought they would be. So now I'm kind of curious about whether or not I've got any others that might have those red lines, because it's just hit or miss whether you get them. I think I had somebody tell me that they had the little baker kit that had them. I don't know if that one was only available in squares. If it was, I probably would have kept it and just done it to see how it turned out. So now I'm trying to finish the Craftably for the floral diamond paint along. I've got my diamond dots that I opened while I was on the road. That's the hibiscus flower. This one is round. Now that I'm kind of exclusively working on this one, it's going pretty quickly. I did work on it a bit while we were on the road, but not nearly as much as I thought I would. I should have taken some smaller ones along with me. That would have been more easier to work on in the car. This one I took it with me, but it just felt like it was going to get creased if I tried to work on it in the front seat. And we had so much stuff that I didn't want to have to move everything around in the back seat for me to crawl back there. And so I just didn't end up working on it as much as I thought I would while we were on the road, which is fine. It wasn't any big deal. I did work on it a couple of nights when we were in the hotel room with nothing else to do. And it is going faster than I thought it would, like I said. So once I finish this one, I'll move on to the diamond dots. I want to start the little baker kit as well. So if I can finish this one and the hibiscus one before the end of the month, I'll be happy. And we're only halfway through the month, so I'm pretty sure I can finish both of those. I'd like to at least make a start on Little Baker before the end of the month, just because I do have a Drills and Chills kit that I want to do. And since that is starting next month, and that kit it's not as big as Little Baker, but I think it's bigger than this butterfly one. And it is square, so it will take me longer. And I would really like to do that one. It's the only kit I have by that company, and sadly they are now out of business, so if I like it, I won't be able to get any more, but que sera, sera, right? I think they closed because somebody in their family was having health issues, so I do wish Craftably would go back in business, though. I mean, I totally get why they're not. It wasn't successful the first time. I can't imagine that after all the headaches they went through that they want to do that again, but I really love their kits. I do also need to start thinking about what I want to do for the rest of the year. Like I said, I know what I want to do for Drills and Chills. That probably will end up carrying over into October for the holiday theme for our Diamond Paint Along in October. I have a Christmas theme one that I kind of want to do. Well, I have several winter ones, but I have one that's specifically Christmas themed that I kind of want to do, and I can't decide if I want to start that one in October or if I want to wait until December knowing that I won't finish it. It's not for anybody, it's just a kit that I thought was pretty, but it's pretty large, so I feel like starting in October would be smart. But I have other things I want to do too, so many diamond paintings, so little time. I did sit down the other day to try and figure out the square footage of my stash. I was trying to be efficient and do it all in one giant calculation instead of breaking it up like I should have, and it ended up getting interrupted, and then I lost my place, and then I hit the wrong key, and I was like, ugh. I'll just start over again later when I have more time to devote to it. I think I've mentioned before, numbers are not my friend, and I did a lot of number things over the last couple of days, paying all the bills, updating our checkbooks, bank accounts, all that kind of stuff. So I need to figure that out, because I do think rather than just doing a kit this big and being like, okay, that marks off one, doing a kit this big and going, okay, that marks off 100 square centimeters or whatever it ends up being, watching that big number go down in pretty large chunks would be some incentive to do the larger kits that I keep putting off, because pretty soon I'm going to be at a point where those large kits are all I have left. So I've decided I do need to, for the next probably 3 or 4 kits, concentrate on doing some of the square ones. The one I want to do for Drills and Chills is square. The larger one that I want to do for Christmas is square. And of course, Little Baker is square. So if I did the 3 of those and managed to complete them all before the end of the year, that would be quite a few diamond paintings done, as well as a big chunk off of the square footage of my stash. I also need to start looking ahead. We're getting towards the second half of the year here, so it's like, do I want to update my logbook for next year? Do I want to add anything in? Do I want to keep it like it is? I always at least change it up for the theme, just because I feel like it's boring to have it look the same every year. I like to have it look different. Don't know if that matters to anyone but me, but I enjoy making up different ones, so I'll probably make up a different one before the end of the year so I can start planning for next year as well. I don't know, I think I had in the back of my mind that I would get way more done of my stash than appears I'm actually going to. So the numbers are not going down as fast as I would like. So I think switching to the square footage of it is actually going to help me, because again, like I said, that it'll be a fairly large number, and doing a big kit will then make that number, it'll take a big chunk off of that number, so it'll feel like I'm getting more done, even though I'm not really. I gotta fool my brain to keep myself motivated. That's the trick, right? It's just to do what you need to keep yourself motivated. I mean, I could just change my goals and say I want to slash the stash by a different number or amount and then meet the goal. But I've told myself I'm not going to really buy anything new until I get the number down. And since I don't have it down where I want it to be or even close, I just haven't felt good about buying anything new yet. So we'll see what happens. Maybe eventually there'll be a kit that I'm just like, oh, I've got to have that. Maybe eventually there'll be a kit that I'm just like, oh, I've got to have that one. I'm not even really looking, honestly, at the moment. I try to avoid, I still get the emails from Diamond Art Club and Dreamer Designs and some other places about new releases and stuff like that. But I have tried not to pay too much attention to them. I've got enough stuff to keep me busy right now. I don't need to buy anything else. Okay, guys, I know this was kind of a pretty short whip and chat, but I'm still trying to get back in the groove of things after getting back from the trip, and we're heading out tonight or this afternoon to go have dinner with everybody, and I need to finish up all the stuff around the house before we go do that. So fingers crossed that I will have a bunch of progress to show for the kit over the next week. Football is back, so hopefully while the youngest and the hubby are watching football games, I'll get a chance to get some good solid hours of diamond painting in. I've been enjoying everybody posting their floral kits in the Facebook group. So if you've been doing that, thank you so much. I really need to get better about remembering to post my progress. I will try and do that. But I'm pretty happy. You can see I've got one butterfly finished here. So this one butterfly is finished and I'm working on the flowers. It's turning out great so far, so I'm really happy with this one. I really want to start working on the hibiscus one though, since that's a diamond dot square and I've never done one of those before, to see what it's going to turn out like. So keep the pictures coming. I will try and remember to post some of my own. And thanks so much for sticking around through this short little ramble. Hopefully I'll have more to share next week. Before you go, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.